And sure enough, I continued working in Spanish at the paper that took me since I was a freshman. I continued working at the Northeastern News, and I finished with a co-op at the Patriot Ledger because I figured if I'm a journalism major, I might as well work in a newspaper, and I loved it. And after that, I kept freelancing for a year. I applied to school really not thinking that I would get in, and I did, which was another surprise.
To graduate school?
Yeah, to graduate school. I really was expecting to apply 2-3 times because it is, it is one of the best programs in the country. Thank goodness I got in, but I was expecting to apply 3 times. And so it really goes to show you, whenever you plan something or think of something, I'm very much of a vibe person. You try to think of things that you want and make them happen, because even your attitude, that positivity, is going to reflect on your work, it's going to reflect on what you do and what you get. If you go into a job already dreading it, they're going to hate you. If you go into a job with a smile, they will be the ones that give you a recommendation for your next job. And sure enough, my boss at Polydor, who is now the head of business, I went my spring break of senior year, I went to visit him, and he said, hey, I miss you so much, you're great, whatever, hey, have these Rihanna tickets, go to this concert. I'm like, oh, hey, thanks. So I saw Rihanna for free. And not only that, when I told him I was applying to Columbia, a year later, he's like, yeah, I'll give you a recommendation. I can call, my producers at MTV, which I also did, and said, hey, do you know anybody in New York that may be looking for an intern? Oh, yes, I do, but I may not be paid. Do you want to do it while you're at school after I got in? I was like, sure, I'll do it, But ironically, ABC was taping Boston Med in front of my mother's food business. And when I saw the cameras, literally I went to the street and said, what are you shooting? Where are you from? Do you need help? I did. And they're like, no, thanks, we're all set. But, who are you? I'm like, oh, I do the burritos across the street because we have a family business. Come by. And sure enough, they came with the doctors because the doctors know us. And when August came along and I was looking for other opportunities in New York to work while I studied, they said, hey, we need an intern. Come be our intern. You know how to log, you know how to transcribe, you know how to do administrative stuff. And I was working full-time while I was a student at ABC with Boston Med, and I saw the entire show, and it was one of the best experiences. And now I graduated in New York. They told me, hey, stay at ABC. But to be honest, once you have all those experiences, and hopefully you will have them as well, one way or another, there is a point that you're going to say to yourself, what do I want to do? Do I want to keep working and build myself up with smaller jobs, or go for the big fish? And like you said, it's very true. You will have to do things slowly and move up because you're working very hard. But the experience that you have in college, or the experiences that you gather while you're in college and while you're a student, do count. So don't ever underappreciate what you've done, if you've done it well, and if you've done it with all your might. So at this point, why would I take a job that's going to pay me as much as I could earn working at my family's business and freelancing, So I made that decision. Up to now, I think it's the right decision because living in New York is very expensive. I would not have even been able to pay my student loans working as a digital reporter, which is one of the positions that ABC just started. And I'm doing that, and I'm being able to survive, helping my family business, freelancing, paying my bills. And I think that once you get to that position yourselves, whether it's 2-3 years into your career or as a college graduate, you really are going to have to realize what is doable and what isn't. And I think being honest to yourself, as much as your employers and everybody else out there, is very important too, because you need to be responsible, not only as a worker but as a human being in your life. So you also have to take care of what you need to not only pay, but you need to do in your personal life to be happy. So I guess my only advice, if anything, is expose yourself to as much as you can and offer to help. What Brad just said is, and what happened to Ben as well, you have to be there at the right time, but it's not just the right time. You have to offer yourself, and you have to say, I can do it, teach me, or what do you need, even if it's just go and get the coffee. I did that so many times, and it's not a joke, it's serious. Just do it. And at the end of the job, internship, study, whatever it is, if you can ask your employer, how did I do? And they said, oh my gosh, you always had a smile and you were always positive, you always were willing to do something. You know, if you need a recommendation, let me know. Then you know you're golden for the future. And not just because you're going to say, oh my God, I'm mighty, I'm powerful. No, but you'll take that spirit to your next job. And you'll be able to call back people after and say, hey, can you recommend me? Do you know anybody looking? Those bridges are what's going to make your career happen. And you cannot burn them. So the only thing you have is your reputation and your strength, I guess, and your positivity. And that really is what is going to get you anywhere. So, yeah.
Thanks.
I spoke a lot.
I think we're done. See you. Bye.
Move on to Jeff.
Yeah, I think you kind of messed up because we have Ben, we have Brad, we have Bessie, and then we have Geoff. You don't have a video game.
I know.
We're just going to take a break.
Yeah. It's only one, about two people that call me that, actually. It's pretty funny. First of all, does anybody even care how the hell I got into this business 200 years ago? I mean,
Yeah, I do, because I want to hear more about the lawnmowers.
Okay.
I know.
So, 1982 graduate of Northeastern University. I was 6. I haven't aged much since then. Before we do anything else, first of all, has everybody got pizza? Everybody know this cold pizza now? It's college, cold pizza, good for you. Second of all, there's your biggest enemy sitting right on that table. No, not you, internet viewer, but that flip camera, the flip phone camera thing, whatever it's called these days, the flip HD camera. First really came into my view when I was shooting for, what's the baseball movie with Jimmy Fallon and thank you, Favorite Pitch. I was shooting for Stars. I was actually producing a segment for Stars TV, whoever the hell they are. They sent a check. That's all that really matters. And it was there in the Democratic National Convention. I had a producer from E and one of the other networks point to all the kids with their cell phones taping Jimmy Fallon walking down the first base line saying, that's your competition, and that's where all your work is going to go. I had a $60,000 camera on my shoulder. I was paying my my camera guy's shoulder. My sound guy's making $500. Camera guy's making $700. I was making some money. And there's kids with cell phones, and that's acceptable video now for people, right? You get your iPhone out. So you have to sort of rethink what it is you're actually going to do, even as juniors and seniors in college, because it's going to change that fast. When I graduated from Northeastern University, we were in the middle of the Reagan Depression that nobody talks about. There was no work to be had anywhere. Sound familiar? You guys heard this anywhere before in your young lives?
That's why they stay at school.
That's right. Yeah, that wasn't an option for me. It was a good split when we went our separate ways. I was not a student. By the way, I want to say hi to Jackie Sweeney if she's still here. I love Jackie Sweeney. She puts up with me every 15 years or so. I come back here and talk, so I said hi. So I worked in the psych hospital. And boy, do you learn about behaviors that you will see in television later on in your life in a psych hospital.